Hi everyone, Rashomonk here with my first impressions about Diablo 2 Resurrected. I was able to play a full weekend, and this is early access beta testing. And I need to start saying thank you to pretty much the whole community. The Diablo community was really together streaming the game. Different streamers on Twitch. I was able to stream for like 9 hours. A lot of people jumping in chat, asking questions. It was really good experience, honestly. Also, thank you to the Diablo team for the Twitch drops, because I was able to kind of like share my impressions with a lot of people. In some of them, if you're one of them and you're still skeptical about the game, if you spent like 2.5 hours in, so many streams, you were able to download the game and play early access beta. And I think that was two things. The first one is being able to play the game is totally different than just watching a video, because you get to see all these little features that makes this game really good. Also, on the other side, if you're one of the skepticals that they don't believe in this remaster, as soon as you put your hands on the game, you can compare, like, toggle between the original game and the new version, and it's honestly mind-blowing. So yeah, I was really excited about that. I was really happy to kind of like share with a lot of streamers at the same time, and also the community. The community is like the best community ever. That's why Diablo franchise is my favorite all time. So let's start with like giving some feedback about the beta testing and features that I consider are really good about the game, and some of the features like part of my feedback about the first weekend. So let's get into it right now. Okay, here we are with the main screen, or the selection screen for your characters. As we know from alpha testing, it's kind of the same. Now, there's something important that it was highlighted. I don't remember if in alpha was highlighted, but I think it was interesting. Is that you can create a new character, and also you can choose, it's like the original Diablo 2, when you can kind of like choose to convert this character to an expansion character. Also, of course, we get to enjoy the new classes, and now we were able to play 5 out of 7 classes. Of course, Necromancer and Assassin, they're not available, but Amazon, Barb, Pally, Sorceress, and of course the Druid. And it's really good. It was really good to enjoy different classes now. 2 of the classics and the most iconic classes in game, which is the Pally and also the Druid. And honestly, I was having a lot of fun. And for the first time, we were able to enjoy the multiplayer. So jumping into this Battle.net lobby is completely different. You can join games. So there's a lot of options here. You can see, time and players and levels and everything. So it's really interesting. You can jump in and do stuff. Also, chat gems here, of course. And I think this is something really important, because this testing was more about multiplayer game, multiplayer features, and also servers stability and stress testing servers. So this is something that I consider is really important. So since day one, and of course understanding that this is a beta testing, of course, community manager lead Base Radar, he started tweeting about reminding the community, and this is really important, that this is a beta testing. So it's a couple weekends beta, and of course the most important thing is to give feedback to the developers about what happened. How is this situation, if we can replicate the situation, or if it's happening after specific steps that we can recreate, so we can find maybe issues with the game. And he was kind of like saying that in advance. Remember, this is just a testing, and it's the first time that we open this server for a lot of people. So your feedback is really valuable. So forums, Reddit, all feedback, in-game feedback as well. That was something really important to kind of like help the developers to get to a point when they can gather enough information to share with the team. Also, after we started the testing, the EU servers went offline for a little bit. There was a lot of issues, and they restarted the server for like 30 minutes. And this is something really good that happens in beta, because if something triggered that issue with the servers, and that might happen, remember, it's like thousands and thousands of players using the same code and systems at the same time. And that was part of the intention, like beta testing, to pretty much break servers and make sure that they can take all these like measures. So by the time we have the game ready to go, this is going to be something really interesting, because they can fix stuff in advance and make sure that everything is stable so we can enjoy and play the game since day one, right? So they restarted the server. After that, it was stable. For me, in my experience, like the first like 9 hours almost, my game just crashed like 3 or 4 times. And it was kind of like specific. All right, guys, and let's start with the feedback. And this is some of the things that I noticed in this beta testing that for me is really important to highlight. One of the features is lighting skills. Lighting skills are being reworked, and now we can see, of course, the original game, and this is a lighting skills, like just a basic skill, of course. And now in Resurrected, and honestly, they are super good. It's a big difference now. They look better. They look like, you know, more accurate and more similar to the original. I know that was, you know, part of the project to highlight all these lighting skills and make it better, and it's working really well. Another thing that was interesting is when you go in options, right, in video, and you go from full screen to window mode, what the game is doing is pretty much keeping the game behind the Windows bar. So you kind of missing the bottom of the screen pretty much, but there's no way that you can accommodate the screen or scale the game to your screen and keep playing in Windows mode, and also move the mouse outside that window and still being able to kind of like interact with another screen if you have different screens. In my case, I stream with one computer and I want to keep like quick chat on one side and then the game in another one, and it was kind of like annoying with Windows mode. I think it's gonna get better, but so far full screen was the way to play the game. Also, audio is really interesting, because now you have the opportunity to kind of like have sound, music and everything, but sound effects is something you can EQ and customize to your taste. What do you mean about that? Well, sound effect, you have a main volume, but also this main volume, then you can customize like items, user interface, monsters, skills, etc. So let's say you want to highlight items because you want to hear that drop when you have a ring or an amulet on the floor. So you can kind of like highlight this and maybe move some user interface sounds or monsters or ambient or combat a little bit lower. So the main one is gonna make something special. So the main one, when it's like going low, they all align and they get to the same volume. When you go all the way up and increase everything, it's gonna increase, or it's gonna keep your customized features all the time. So this is really interesting. Another feature that I think is super interesting as well, and it's really making a big difference is well, it's a couple things, but let's start with like options as well, and let's go to gameplay. So gameplay, one of the features is mini map. So now, of course, this is a full screen mini map as usual. This is what you have when you play D2, right? So right now we have the map of Black Marsh, and we are here next to the tower. Excellent point. Also, of course, nostalgia with the Druid and Bowlder. Bowlder is just having a crazy effect when, you know, the explosion is just unreal. I was having so much fun just watching the Bowlder explode against enemies, and it's just, you know, mind-blowing because the effect is just brutal. You can get to see the original one, of course, as usual, but this one is just crazy. So yeah, this is one of the things I feel like Druid is on point. All the skills are like pretty much crazy. But also another thing is like you can have the minimap here, but you can also go to options, gameplay, and change it. I was playing with the minimap on the right side, and look at this now. When you have the minimap now is here, So if you don't like to play with the big map in the middle, you can keep it here on the side and still be able to see everything, but also keep your screen clean. I know some people, you know, if you're really picky about like having the screen like covered with your map and everything, you can have it on the side. You can still see, you know, everything about the mini map. Is really customizable and it's great. And I think that's why I'm here in Tower. I remember in alpha testing, I put some feedback about the Blair Witch effect. And the Blair Witch effect was like, usually when you were fighting mobs, at some point, the mobs stop attacking you. They run away from you, but not because they were taking damage, just because of that. It was kind of like the light radius wasn't effective at all at some point, and the AI was telling, like, you know, the mob that, you know, there was like no enemy around them. So they start like just walking around, and they went to a corner and they stopped there and do absolutely no damage, and you were able just to kill the mobs, no problem, and they don't even like push back or anything. So that's something that was happening in alpha testing. Now I didn't see at all. The mobs, they all interact, they all behave like the same way that they behave in D2, and it's really good. Another feature as well that I want to highlight now is items, right? So when you have items on the floor, usually here as well, gameplay is the first one. So you can have it like hold is the original one. So hold is, you know, Diablo 2, you press Alt, you can see all the items on the floor. You get to choose. If you don't want to see them, just release the button, and that's it. Now we have this opportunity to have a control gameplay. Instead of hold, you can toggle, and then you can keep it by default. So you can select if you want to see items or if you want to just, you know, keep it on. So you don't have to hold anything. You just walk around. Every time you drop something, you can see the drops. Or if you're gonna get rid of all of them because it's too many or something is kind of annoying, just press Alt again. And when you scroll on top of the items, so of course, mouse over, you're gonna see what is on the floor. But so far, I think it's a great feature. I think it's really interesting to have this opportunity to see items on the floor and keep them active. Same thing with gold pickup. For me, is kind of a quality of life, and I enjoy this specific features. And this like is working as intended. Okay, one of the other features is controller support. I was able to test controller support, and honestly, I'm surprised. I didn't test controller support in alpha, and now in beta. It's really interesting because I can compare controller support with Diablo 3 in Nintendo Switch or PlayStation. Also, Path of Exile, I get to play a little bit in console, so just to see the controllers, how to kind of like interact with potions and itemization, also inventory, because that was the hardest part for me. Path of Exile is really hard with inventory. It takes like forever going from this corner to the main weapon. With this controller support, it's really intuitive, easy, and it's totally fine. So what I was doing is like, you know, trying different things. Also, you have a speed menu, a speed bar on top. You can just move. You know, you can put your stats on one side, check inventory, check your skill tree, assign like skills. And also, if you want to bind a skill to a specific button, you just like press bind and then you select the button. So you have two bars you can select and have both active. So in this case, we're gonna put like Fisher X, and we're gonna put Boulder. Maybe let's assign Boulder to Y, right? So we close the menu, and every time, you know, we press X, we have features, of course, active, and it's really interesting. Another thing that is interesting about console is you get to see, because this is important, you need to highlight the mobs that you're attacking specifically, so you get to see, okay, which one is the one that you're aiming, because you don't have the mouse to kind of like mouse over and select one enemy to attack, right? So in this case, that's the option. And then when you go, you walk and you're closer to items, they get highlighted by default. And then it depends on which one is highlighted, you get to choose which one are you picking up, right? So this is really interesting. And controller for me was really good. You get to move a lot and super fast, and it's really interesting because I got in trouble a couple times, like inside the tower and inside one of the dungeons, and I was running around trying to equip potions and do stuff, and I was able to do it. Not as efficient as mouse and keyboard when you want to kind of like use your inventory and open your inventory and run around and everything, because it's not going to be possible. But if you're playing around and you want to just like, you know, interact and use your skills, it was really, really good. You can kind of like, you get used to it really fast. All right, guys, and one of the things I want to highlight is something specific, and it's kind of picky, but I think it's important. So as we can see in the top right corner, we have the minimap, right? And we can see the interaction with the minimap is everything that is in red is kind of like the walls, right? And the border on the minimap. So this is really interesting. So we walk, and if you have the minimap open all the time, you'll see something interesting happening. So minimap is showing like this is a wall, as we can see here. And if we toggle to the original, right? We keep the original game, and this is the original map, and we get to see the kind of like the walls in red, and then stairs in yellow, right? So these are the steps, and these stairs you can see, and you get to interact. But you can see that this is like stones, and then the stairs. Look at what happened with the resurrected version, because maybe it's the shadows and the textures. So you're here, right? And if you don't see the minimap, you don't see the stairs here in front of you. The stairs right here. These are the stairs. But if you come in from this side, and you can think, if you don't see the minimap, you can think that these are stairs as well, and they're not. And they look alike, like they look like part of the mountain. You don't get to see the difference between the border and the stairs if you don't have the minimap open. So look at the difference now, right now, and look at the difference in this version. So this version, if you go all the way here and you come back, it's hard to see the first time. It's hard to see the step. Just because of this is when you get to see them. So it's something really particular, but I think it's kind of confusing at some point if you don't read the minimap really well. It's not intuitive. So from here, you get to see this shape, and you know there's stairs over there because of the shape. But if you're coming from this way, like the top of the mountain, it's not the same. So this is something specific, as I know, but I think if they can change a little bit the way that the stairs look, it's kind of easy to find. All right, guys, and this is another issue for me. It's super particular, but I think it's part of the feedback that I want to give to the game, right? So inside the Claw Viper temple, and also it happened in another temple when the map is red, you usually, if you have the mini map on the side, you're having a hard time finding the exit. Even though you walk around the map and everything, if you follow the map and you're not an expert or not a speed runner, you haven't played the game in a while, sometimes you're having a hard time seeing like the red dot by the exit. Right now I have the minimap on the side. Let's change the minimap. Gameplay minimap is right here. So let's go for full screen, apply, and still. So you get to see the minimap right here, right? And even if we move on the minimap like up and down, you get to see the yellow, which is like indoor exits, right? So it's kind of like the access point between different rooms. But the exit map, we're right here. The exit is here. But honestly, tell me if you get to see the exit right now, because it's not happening. I don't know if it's something. So if we toggle this to the original one, look at the difference. Right now we get to see the point. The dot is right here. So if you're walking around the map from here, you know the exit is here. This is the entrance and this is the exit. And it's easy to see. Like entrance and exit, they have the same color and they're highlighted. But also, even though the walls are red, you get to see this. With the new version, tell me where the exit is. And the exit's right here. I'm not gonna lie, the exit's right here. But unless you know this is the exit, you're not going to see it. But if you go back to the original version, it's a better interaction. So this is just a little detail, but usually if you're running around, you can get lost if you don't know the map. Even if the exit is on this wall, even if you have a different map and the exit is on the side, you're not going to see the exit unless you walk towards like the wall and you see this. usually on the map is kind of like covered by the wall, but usually you can see the details here and it's kind of like totally different. So yeah, you don't get to see this a lot, but it's better the old version of the map than the new version inside the temple. This is part of the feedback, of course. I hope that we can just make it better, because a lot of people, they're gonna get lost if they don't know the maps, and this might happen in different acts if you still have the same situation with the red walls. So maybe this is something that we can be fixed. Other than that, honestly, for me, I have some, like, I mean, as I said before, my game crashed maybe 3 to 4 times the first 8 hours. The following day was crashing a little bit more, but this is a beta, so it's totally fine. Also, rubber band effect. When you're walking around and all of a sudden you start again, like here, and then you jump again, and you jump again, and you jump again, and you start like doing the same thing over and over and over. My ping was like 150, but I think it's part of the server, like stress testing the servers. So if all these things are going to be addressed, it's totally fine. I think we're going to have a great game, and I'm really happy to be able to play the game and kind of like see things and give feedback to you guys. Okay guys, and this is another video, but also I wanted to remind you, if you feel that this video is adding some value at least to your information about the game, please drop a like, because it's going to help the algorithm to recommend this video to more people. Also, if you're interested to join a community like a Diablo community, it's a small community right now. I'm planning to play pretty much everything Diablo. I'm not an expert in D2, but I'm learning a lot. I want to get better at D2, but also I want to play Diablo 1. I want to do specific sessions about lore, and kind of gather with a lot of people, like really Diablo fans. So if you're interested in just to join the Discord channel, I'm going to drop a link in the description below. Also, I stream on Twitch Tuesday through Saturdays, and you know, if you guys see me online, you can drop a follow or maybe show up in chat and ask questions. I'm more than happy to answer. I hope you guys stay well, and I see you in hell.